Welcome back to Morning Break, and this week's Monday Motivations brought to you by Gates Brain Health, where we've got Dr. Randall Gates joining us. He is a board-certified chiropractic neurologist and chiropractic physician, and Lindsay has already mentioned that the forecast is hot, 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 so we're going to talk about how that can actually exacerbate some neurological disorders, which makes a lot of sense, because for me, I'm a migraine victim. Heat, cold, the extremes, always affecting my migraines, and that's very common, right?
Oh, it's very common, yeah. It's in the literature that migraines are provoked. Other conditions like multiple sclerosis can be worse than the heat. In fact, diagnostically, that can be something that doctors look for. If somebody's having more symptoms that might indicate something like MS during heat waves. And then there are other conditions like dysautonomia and POTS, referred to as postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which definitely can be worse in the heat as well, based on my observations.
Yeah, so if people know they have these diagnoses of these different diseases that you just mentioned, or disorders, what should they be doing in the heat to kind of combat those symptoms?
I think awareness is big, number one. So for example, I treat a lot of patients who have POTS. And POTS is generally a condition where we have our fluid volume staying in our lower extremities, staying in our abdomen, not getting back up to our heart and our brain. And when we're hot, or it's hot out, we have a tendency to vasodilate. So more of our blood is going to our extremities, less is going to our heart and our brain. And so if you already have that condition, and then on top of that, it's hot out, it can really provoke your symptoms. So A, knowing that the heat can be a factor. B, what things can you talk to coworkers, your employer about? What can you talk to your doctor about, and ways to mitigate the effects of the heat? Because this last month we've had a lot of hot temperatures. And a lot of my patients have been suffering and provoked, and lots of times it creates questions in their mind, you know, what is going on, and just to have that assuredness, it helps. So,
yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, because when you're already kind of getting through the disorder, and you're all of a sudden, it's like you thought you were getting better, and then we get this heat wave coming in, and all of a sudden there's symptoms spike. There's that panic almost of like, 100%. Oh, it's worse.
Exactly, exactly. So that's where being able to talk to one's doctor about it, saying, okay, this might be a factor. Again, I'm not diagnosing anybody, but that might be a factor as to why symptoms are worse.
Yeah, and then for people who may have not gotten an actual diagnosis yet, but they're like, hey, my body's doing weird things in the heat and stuff. I mean, there's normal tendencies that, you know, our body will go through, but when do we know when it's like, hey, your body's reacting to heat abnormally? Yeah,
I would say if you're significantly provoked in terms of your symptoms, whether they may be brain fog, headaches, dizziness, you know, migraine headaches, other types of symptoms, numbness, tingling, then I would say that's something to talk to your doctor about. Or see someone like myself who deals with these issues all the time. And I work with a lot of patients who have autoimmune disorders, and POTS generally is an autoimmune condition. And so that's going on all the time, but if the heat's making it worse, then I would look to the heat.
Okay, and then just kind of day-to-day stuff that we can do to kind of combat those heat-related symptoms.
Yeah, I think it's important for individuals to talk to those around them about ways to mitigate, you know, cooling off, taking breaks, sitting down, things of that nature are really, really important. Because it can be the difference of somebody being able to continue in their day-to-day life versus thinking that they can't continue on with whatever they're doing.
And we see this every year. It gets really hot in the summer. It will come to an end eventually, maybe not anytime soon, but we will get some fall, we will get winter, and then we'll be dealing with a whole nother round of problems of like, migraines come back in the winter too.
And barometric pressure changes, absolutely.
Oh, it's awful, man. I tell you what. All right, Dr. Gates, thank you so much. I appreciate you stopping by and always giving us kind of this insight into these diseases and disorders. And of course, I'll make sure that all your contact information is on our website. All right, thank you. All right, thank you guys for watching. We'll be right back.